Okie dokie. Welcome to Johnny the Greek's Free Real Estate. This is episode 11. Thank you for joining us. This week, I am joined with the lead editor at idpguys.org, the lead editor for the IDP Guys Yearly Rookie Magazine, a podcaster at Women of Fantasy Football, also found at womenoffantasyfootball.com, my good friend at FF_LeapofFaith. Faith, how are you?
I am good, Johnny. How are you?
Good. It is nice to finally talk to you. We've had lots of cat-based discussions, but
Yes.
none like this on in person, if you will. Not in person,
Mhm.
but physically talking.
Yes.
Yeah,
Virtually in person.
right. Virtually in person. I'm looking forward to it. And let's just get this out of the way. This is, as all of you know, a free fire zone. Either one of us is likely to swear in the next 90 minutes. Keep that in mind. It's not safe for work. Consider headphones if you have kids in the room. With that being said, Faith, what's happening? What's up? What have you been up to since, I don't know, the Super Bowl?
Since the Super Bowl, there's been a little bit of relaxation time, but then I have been knee deep in rookie profiles for the IDP Guys Rookie Mag. And especially since the draft now, I'm finishing up landing spots for all of that. I'm down to less than 20 though, so
Nice.
because that'll entail it. So I have to edit the actual profile, and then they're all posted on idpguys.org on the website. So it's editing that, and then editing the Google Doc for the person who's arranging the magazine itself, and then posting everything on the website. So it's like 3 steps.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it just kind of complicates things more.
Yeah, it's going to be worth it though. I mean, anyone that's
so much.
It's a real magazine. Like I didn't believe it the first year, but it really is. It's pretty sweet.
It is, and this is the first year that we're combining offense and IDP in one magazine. So you can be that super awesome person walking into your home league drafts, looking all official with a paper magazine.
Nice. There's nothing like that. That's like the old days. That's good stuff.
Speaking of live drafts and old days and all that fun stuff, I'm super excited about Scott Fishbowl this year for live drafts. A bunch of fantasy football Twitter delinquents, as we can sometimes be known, all in a room together drafting fantasy football.
Yeah,
where get rowdy.
where are you doing that? That's so you're like Florida. I'm guessing,
I'm in Florida, yes. Yeah. And so my preference was the Orlando live draft. And I know Troy King is helping host that one, and Bob Gilchrist, and then Zach Attack, FF Chalupa Batman. They're all hosting that. So just with those 3, God only knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's a good idea though. That's nice to get back to the in-person stuff like with this too. So yeah. Nice. Speaking of, we were speaking of the Super Bowl for a second. What'd you think? Did you enjoy the Super Bowl? Who were you pulling for? Thoughts.
So I am a huge UGA fan, and so I kind of didn't care, but I kind of was rooting for Matt Stafford, because Matt's like, it was his time. He's been in the league for 8 million years, hadn't won a ring. Detroit finally traded him, finally got his shot. But then also I kind of would have been okay if the Bengals won, because Joe Burrow, that would have been awesome for him. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. As the game progressed, and honestly, as I talked to Nate Cheatham more, I started just rooting for Matt Stafford and them. Honestly, Nate wouldn't let me root for the Bengals.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I felt the same way, and it was a rare Super Bowl where I didn't dislike either team. So
Yeah.
it was like, hey, whatever, I'm good. Yeah.
And that usually there are times that I'm not so much rooting for a team, but rooting against a team.
Yep.
And this just wasn't that case. I didn't have strong feelings towards either team, so I just went Matt Stafford.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That was nice. It's nice to have a non-anxiety provoking Super Bowl occasionally.
I have always said that I both love making the Super Bowl and I hate making the Super Bowl because I'm one of those people that if a game is stressful, it stresses me out. I know it has no personal effect on me whatsoever, but inside secret, a lot of times if my team is in a playoff game and it's like a single elimination game like football, I don't watch them because I get entirely way too invested in them and it causes me unnecessary stress.
Mm-hmm. I can identify with that. So Connecticut just opened sports gambling, and I find myself watching those games a lot less because something's bad will start happening, and I'm like, I can't. It's making me mad. It's giving me anxiety. I can't watch it.
Yeah. Oh,
so
man, the life of a sports fan.
Let's talk about Georgia though, because that's probably a little more relevant for you, right? Like, talk me through that. So they get to the title game, close game, Alabama, the hated rival. How what was that like?
So, a game I didn't watch for two reasons. One, because it would stress me out, and two, I don't have ESPN and didn't feel like going anywhere to watch the game because I would be stressed out with people.
Yep.
And I just, no. So I actually went to bed fairly early. But I went into this game convinced we were going to lose because I watched what they did to us in the SEC championship.
Right.
It wasn't pretty.
No.
But I think it was the wake-up call that Georgia needed because Alabama lost to Texas A&M. And then they almost lost to Auburn, I think it was. So Georgia went into that game fully confident that they would win. And then Nick Saban showed the world what Nick Saban does and why he's good at what he does. And I think Georgia clearly took away some pointers from that game and some insights into Nick Saban's real hand and what he was going to try in the championship should they make it. And so game progresses on. I fell asleep around halftime. I was checking up on my phone. I was like, okay, I never let myself feel hope because Alabama is known for just destroying lives. So I was like, I refuse. I legitimately did not think, like, it wasn't until like 33 seconds left in the game that I gave myself hope and I let myself feel that we were going to win this game because I'm like, it's Alabama. Somehow, some way, they're going to find a way to drive down the field, score, kick an onside kick, tie it up, win it, whatever. I was like, it's what they do. So I refused. I woke up sometime in the fourth quarter with like 3 minutes left, I think. I checked the score. At that point, we were down by 3. Or whatever the timing was. I checked it again. I tried to go back to sleep. I couldn't. Checked it again. We had turned the ball over and scored a touchdown. And I was like, okay, I can't go to sleep now. So I'm legitimately sitting in my bed. My heart is racing. I tried to calm my heart down to go back to sleep. Like, no, it's racing. So I'm refreshing. I'm listening to the game. And if you've ever listened to a game on ESPN, the app, while also watching the box score, the box score updates faster than the audio plays. So I'm trying not to watch the box score, but I'm also watching the box score because I'm like, what's happening? So long story short, again, like 30 seconds left. It dawns on me. I'm like, this is it. There's no way. We're up by 2. There's no way. And so I legitimately start sobbing.
Oh, wow.
In bed. And I was
it was well deserved, though. It was well deserved.
41
Seriously.
years.
Yeah, right. And that
and
was
I mean,
such a good defense.
The defense.
Yeah.
And it was, I think everybody knew how good Georgia's defense was, and to watch the way the defense was drafted in this year's draft.
Oh yeah.
I told my dad I'm having a hard time because Jordan Davis is my dude. Jordan Davis is my guy. And the fact that both he and Nakobe Dean landed in Philly, I'm like, shit, am I a Philly fan now? And my dad said no. I was like, you're right, but I really want a jersey. My dad said, no, you don't. And I was like, but I do. I really wanted Nakobe in New England. I really did.
Yeah. That I mean, you knew that defense was special early. Was it week 1 or 2 against Clemson where they held Clemson to like nothing?
Yeah, I think it was like week 2.
Yeah, that was insane.
So
like,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that they were such a good team, and they annihilated Michigan the game before. That was that. I mean, were you able to watch that one? Because it was.
I did. That one I did. I was at my parents' house because it was around the holidays. So I watched it with my dad. No, that's a lie. The Michigan game that I watched with my dad was Michigan Ohio State, and that was amazing.
Yep. Right? Yeah, that was.
I don't like Ohio State just because. And so I always enjoy watching Michigan beat them, which is rare.
Right.
Well, when it happens, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that was a beautiful thing. And then the Georgia Michigan game, yikes. Like there were people, betting Michigan like straight up that week. I remember that. And I was like, I'm not sure I can do that.
I just looked over what is your right shoulder and your cat's on the counter, and I just see movement.
How did she get up there? Get there. Okay, she's back on the couch. Jeez Louise. What a troublemaker.
I'm sorry. It just caught my eye. She's just because everything behind me was like white, and then there's just like this dark spot like moving on the counter.
Yeah, she's a troublemaker. We've got a whole cat section. We will 100% get into that.
Yeah. So honestly, I was a little nervous going into the Georgia Michigan game because Michigan's defense isn't really anything to shake a stick at. Aiden Hutchinson is a big dude.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, so I never go into a game expecting to win because I know that if I expect to win and we lose, I'll be pissed. But if I expect to lose and we win, I'll be happy. And if I expect to lose and we lose, it's what I expected. So to quote Mary Jane from Spider-Man, expect disappointment and you'll never be disappointed.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I always expect the worst. Anything else is a pleasant surprise. Absolutely. Yep. That's beautiful. Let's rewind. Let's start in the beginning. So how did you become a football fan? Was this a family thing, or talk me through that?
So my dad, he's watched football for as long as I can remember. And I guess I would watch it with him, but I never really became a fan or paid attention until I was like 14. And so my dad, I was born and raised in Florida. I've never lived anywhere else, but my dad was born and raised in Connecticut. So as somebody who was born and raised in Connecticut, he grew up a Patriots fan.
Yep.
As soon as they became a thing. And so he watched Patriots games, and that's how I became a fan. Everybody always gives me grief. You live in Florida. Why aren't you a Dolphins fan? Why aren't you a Bucs fan? And I'm like, well, because my dad was a Patriots fan. So growing up, that's who he watched, who he rooted for. Well, yeah, but you're not your dad. I'm like, no, but that's who we always watched. That's who we rooted for.
That's a big part of how people become fans is like they're it's usually, so you're the 11th interview I've done here. 10 of them have said my dad watched X team, so I watched X team, and that's the same thing with me. I'm from Connecticut. Why the hell would I be a Cowboys fan? Because my dad was. I didn't have a choice. It is what it is.
Yeah. It's so in a brief moment of familial rebellion. So my grandfather is a diehard Red Sox fan. My father is a diehard Red Sox fan. I wasn't really a baseball fan until I was like 13 or 14, again, sports, when I kind of started paying attention. And then I decided, just to be a rebellious pain in the ass, I was going to be a Yankees fan.
Ooh.
I know. So for like, from I think it was 2003, the Subway Series, it was Yankees Mets.
Mm-hmm.
From that time until, no, it wasn't 2003 because the Red Sox.
They were 04, I think. They won that year.
They went, was it 04 and 05? Because they won back to back, didn't they?
No, it was like 04, 07, 11, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm watching the World Series in 2004, realizing that I know more Red Sox players, I care more about Red Sox baseball, and I pay more attention to it. And I'm like, I'm really a Red Sox fan. I just said I was a Yankee fan to piss off my dad and grandpa. And my dad, of course, was like, whatever. You don't actually pay attention to it, but you do you. My grandfather was like, what the hell? And I was like, YOLO. Which is funny now because my dad's half-sister lives in New York and married a Yankees fan. So it's a very interesting family dynamic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's it's tough. I mean, especially growing up in Connecticut, you got one or the other. I mean, there are a few Mets fans scattered here and there, but it's Sox or Yanks. That's it. Yep.
Yeah, it's always that, because Connecticut, if you don't know your map, Connecticut's like in between directionally Massachusetts and New York. So it's kind of a choose your own adventure book.
Right.
Although I don't know many people who live in Connecticut but are New York football fans.
Yeah, if you go the further south you go, there are some.
That's true.
Yeah, some Jets, some Giants, but yeah, a lot of Patriots. Because I mean, why would you be a Giants or a Jets fan when you've got 6 Super Bowls in New England? Recently.
And honestly, New England, it's the New England Patriots. Connecticut's part of New England. New York isn't. Whereas it's the Boston Red Sox. So I feel like that's just a little more all-inclusive.
Yeah. Okay. So Patriots, Sox, that's good stuff. What do you think? How do you think the Pats do this year? So I mean, Mac Jones is obviously the truth. Like, he had a great year last year. Belichick can work with anything. So what do you think?
I don't know.
It's a tough conference. AFC is loaded.
It is, and I have faith in Bill Belichick, but sometimes I scratch my head at Bill Belichick. But also, when people like to say Tom Brady was the heart and soul of the team, I won't necessarily disagree. Obviously, without Tom Brady, we don't have 6 Super Bowl rings. But also, the year that Tom got injured, and Matt Castle was our starting quarterback.
Yeah, he went 11-5, or whatever,
or 11-5, whatever. Yeah,
they were still good, really good.
Correct. Yes, and so clearly it's not all Brady, but I think Mac is the future. I think Mac is the Brady-esque quarterback. I mean, they had, honestly, in the draft, they had the same body style.
Yeah.
Like, they could have been twins.
Yep.
But I don't make predictions, because whenever I think Bill Belichick's gonna zig, he zags and then spins around 3 times. So, but that's one of my favorite things about Bill Belichick. I mean, the tuck rule. The tuck rule was in existence before we used it, and had actually been used once prior. But Bill Belichick knows the rule book and knows how to use them to his advantage. Like the tuck rule.
Yep.
And so people get so upset, and it's like, you could have done the same thing. You just aren't as knowledgeable about all of the things. There was something else that the Patriots did.
He did. I remember one game one year, he safetied himself on purpose to give his punter more room to punt, and they won that game because of that strategy. I remember that. And I was like, good God, this guy. Like, what?
Yeah, he is an evil genius.
Yeah, he really is.
As my dad and I call him Darth Hoodie.
I love that. I love that. I mean, it's a tough division. The Bills are real good. I mean, the Jets are shit, but
Yeah,
they're trying to get better.
always.
And the Dolphins are like bipolar. They're up down. Who knows? But yeah, the
Yeah, is
Bill.
Tua going to be hurt? Is Tua going to play? Is Tua not going to play? What's happening?
Right.
Who's there?
Right. Yeah, it's
So,
a tough conference, tough division, but with Mac, you guys have the future, I think.
I'm really glad that we dropped Cam Newton like a hot potato as soon as we drafted Mac, because honestly, the year prior with Cam Newton, I was like, dear God, just kill me. And it's really hard. I know I'm gonna get shit for saying this, but as a Patriots fan who is 35, as a New England sports fan, there's not a whole lot of loss in my sports lifetime.
Right.
So to go from greatness of New England Patriots football to Tom Brady leaving to Cam Newton in a terrible year, it's just like, I hate this. And people are like, you don't get any sympathy from me. And I'm like, I know that I don't, but it still sucks. And they're like, yeah, now you know how we feel. And I'm like,
yeah.
jerks.
No, I hear you. I hear you. They'll be back though. They'll be back. They're heading in the right direction. All right. So we're gonna kind of flip flop a little bit. What do you do for a living?
So I work in elections. I work for our county elections office. Yeah. We are a nonpartisan office. We just conduct elections. So I have worked there for 15 and a half years. Anytime you walk in on election day or you go to early vote, if you have early voting in your state, somebody somewhere in an office has prepared for that one day for months. So for people, and it's my favorite question that I get asked, don't you just work one day a year? It's kind of like the Super Bowl. It's one day a year, but to make the Super Bowl happen, months of planning went into it. Months of hard work, months of all kinds of things. And so we get one big day a year. Actually, we usually get 2 or 3, depending on the year. But we didn't just show up that day and everything magically happened. So my PSA, if you go vote in person, thank your poll workers. Thank the people who showed up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Actually, it's usually 5:30 because polls open at 7, to make sure that you had the option to exercise your fundamental rights. Also, if you don't vote, you should.
Yeah.
Or shut up and don't complain about anything.
That's a beautiful message. I love that. And yeah, I mean, there's so many, every time I've gone to the polls, like it's such a well-run thing too, right? Like people take that for granted. Like, does anyone know what like the Afghan elections looked like when we tried to do that? Like it was a goddamn shit show. You know what I mean? Like most other countries, it's ridiculous. Like it's a nice, effective, efficient system that you guys have set up.
Yeah. And contrary to popular belief, because a lot of people are like, oh, I only vote in presidential elections because those are the only ones that count. Your local elections have more impact on your everyday life than a presidential. Because if you're voting for a city council member or for a mayor, they have more impact on your parking fees and your taxes for your roads and school districts and all of that. So if you care about what happens in your town, if you have children in their school district, whatever, vote in your local elections because the president has no effect on that.
Right. Yep. That's good stuff. I love that. Do you have a favorite short story from college, high school, childhood, anything funny, interesting? I mean, I know this is an off the wall one, but we've gotten some good stuff out of this.
Okay, so I was going to say, so I didn't go to college. I went to a technical school for a culinary arts program. So growing up, kindergarten through 6th grade, I went to a private Christian school. 7th grade and then high school, I was homeschooled. I skipped 8th grade. And then technically while I was still in high school, I dual enrolled at a local technical college for culinary arts. And I grew up in this Christian household, went to private school, was homeschooled. I grew up in this sheltered. I grew up in a bubble. I mean, we watched TV, but it's not like I knew public school. It's not like I knew. And that was a very deliberate thing by my parents. They didn't want me to have to deal with any of that. So I'm 3 months into culinary school, and it's fine. Everything is copacetic. And on Fridays, we always had our test days. So Monday through Thursday, we always made food, and we served lunch to the rest of the school. So we got experience making, serving, all that fun stuff. But there was one Friday that we had a test, and I was sitting the second table from the back, and I just hear commotion behind me, and then behind me and to the left. And I turn around, and two of my classmates are like bickering. And I'm like, what is happening? And the girl directly behind me is like, don't move. And I'm like, what the hell? Why? And I turn around, and she's doing a line of Coke on the desk behind me. And I was like, the fuck? We had a substitute that day. And so like, full disclosure, I am that type of person that if I see something wrong, I'm going to say something. Call me a snitch, call me a narc, call me a whatever. But I'm not about to sit through school and have somebody do a line of Coke on the desk behind me. Like,
yeah,
that's not what we're here for. So I told her substitute, and she was like, do you have any proof? And I'm like, why would I make this up?
Yeah, go talk to the person. You'll know. Trust me.
Yeah, go look in their eyes. You'll figure it out real quick. So when my actual like chef, or that's what we called him, chef, got back the next day, he asked me about it, and I told him, and he goes, yeah, I fully see that happening with that person. And I was like, you know me. You've known me for how long? I'm not a person to just make things up to get somebody in trouble.
Right.
Especially something like that.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That's to this day, that's the craziest thing I think that's happened in the craziest place that it could happen.
Yeah, no, that qualifies. That definitely qualifies. Jesus. Wow. You could say that they were training for working like at Applebee's or something. Right?
Yeah. Or something.
That's crazy. So all right, let's get into the cats here. So we unfortunately we did have your cat on camera earlier. I wasn't recording, but tell us about your cat, his name, how you got him.
I don't even know where he's at. He's probably mad somewhere hiding. So his name is Slate. He is a very large diva, actually. He is a male long-haired gray cat who hates being brushed. So that makes life real fun. You're like petting him. You're like, oh, there's a knot that I have to cut out because you won't let me brush you. He came from my parents. So in 2017, they had friends of theirs who had a cat who had kittens, and they wanted a cat. They live in North Georgia. They wanted a cat to keep outside to kill the moles because they were getting into the plants that my parents were planting in the garden and all that stuff. So my mom sent me a picture, and I was like, he looks like he's a long-haired cat. And so they tried to put him outside, and he whined. And I was like, Mom, this cat is too pretty to be an outside cat. Like, I did not give up. I was relentless. So they tried for like 2 days, and he just whined. And so they let him inside the house. And yeah. So he was inside the house, and my parents just aren't pet people. They like their freedom. They like to come and go. They like to do whatever. They're just not animal people. So I had gone up there in like September and met the cat, but I was running away from a hurricane. And so I didn't bring him back with me then because I didn't know what I was coming home to. I knew pretty much that I wasn't going to have power. Oh yeah. So I was going to have to go stay somewhere and didn't want to have to deal with that with a kitten and all that stuff. Yep. So I brought him home at Christmas because I always go. I went up again at Thanksgiving, but there was no point in me bringing him down at Thanksgiving and then back at Christmas and all that stuff. So, I brought him back Christmas of 2017, and he's an only child, and he has Typical only child syndrome. So my house is small. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath with a living room and a kitchen. I love my cat, but he's not allowed in my bedroom because he has long gray hair, and I don't want to deal with it. I have to deal with it everywhere else in my house, and I'm like, no. Because then it's in your sheets, it's on your clothes, no. And if you don't own a pet, I don't think you realize that somehow animal hair magically weaves its way into your clothes.
Yep.
Like, not even if you wash it. Somehow it doesn't, like, it'll sit on top, but then you'll get those pieces that you pull and literally you realize it's like weaved in the fabric, and it's like, how did this happen? I don't understand. So he has the entire guest bedroom and the rest of the house. Well, when my parents are here, they don't let him in there for the same reason.
Ooh.
There's a whole different set of sheets, different set of bedding. Like, there's a whole thing. The litter box, that's where the litter box is most of the time. Gets moved out to the living room, all that stuff. So when my parents are here, he's a brat. Like, he doesn't talk to anybody. He won't say hi to my parents. He won't sit on their lap. Like, he won't talk to anyone. He just yells. He makes his presence known. He makes it known that he's mad. But he won't let you pet him because he's pissed at you.
Oh.
He does fairly well on road trips. So again, I go visit my parents at Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I always drive. And when I drive up at Thanksgiving, I actually leave him at my parents until I come home at Christmas, because there's only 3 weeks in between. My parents have a 2-bedroom house. It's kind of like a vacation for him because he's got a lot more room. He runs up and down the stairs. And it's the funniest thing because they used to have carpet on their stairs, but they pulled it, so now it's just wood, but you can hear his feet as he hits every step. Yeah. It's the dumbest thing, but it's just so funny. He will be, when we first start our journeys, he'll whine for about a solid hour and a half, and then he'll settle down. And he's quiet for most of the time. I put him in a crate because if not, he's just all over the place. And that's just not safe for either of us. But then if my mom always calls me when she wakes up. I usually leave my house depending on when I leave my house, I leave at like midnight, because during this season, I host a start sit every Saturday at 11 a.m. So I want to get to my parents and have time to just chill and relax before I start that, because I don't like missing that stream, and so I want to be on it. So we leave at midnight. He complains. My mom will usually call me at about 8:30, and it's usually right before I get to their house, just to check in, see how everything's going, see where I'm at. And if my cat had been silent prior to that, as soon as somebody calls me, he like starts whining. And it's like he wants to make sure that somebody knows he's back there and that somebody knows that he's there. And it's hey, I'm still here, don't forget about me. And I'm sure your cat is the same way. Slade has meows. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's got his whines, his like meows, but then he's got his meow. His like almost like you are torturing him, and it's like, what? You are fine. Calm down.
That's so true.
Calm down. Yep. Oh, and my parents were here last week. Actually, no, it was the week before. I was out of town, and so they were here for the week, and I just had them sleep in my room so that the cat, because it was going to be weird for him anyway, for them to be here and me not be here. So I was like, just sleep in my room. That way he'll have the guest room. He'll have all of that. Well, Thursday night, we went to bed late, but I was like, no, it was Friday night into Saturday. I came back into town Friday. We got to bed late Friday night. I was like, we don't need to move the litter box. He'll be okay. Like, we're going to bed late, getting up early. He does fine on a car ride. It'll be okay. Well, apparently in the 4 years that I've owned him, he's never done this, but he got pissed and he was like, screw you, and pooped on the bed.
Oh,
never done that. Hasn't done it since. And I'm like,
Wow.
you bullshit.
Are you sure that's what it was? Because I've had something similar
That's
happen.
my mom found it.
Oh,
And
so
she said it was.
this neighbor cat got out and got into the living room window of my apartment on the other side
Mm-hmm.
and was yelling at my cat, and my cat freaked out and took a huge crap on the floor in response. Because I come home to this just steamer sitting on my carpet, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And I'm trying to figure out, did she eat something? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
No, I look it up, and that's a cat psychology thing. If another cat like invades their territory and they can't get to that cat to defend their territory, one of their responses is to just take a shit.
So what's weird is there are feral cats that so I live in technically like a mother-in-law's quarters behind a main house. So there are feral cats that the person who lives in the main house feeds. And in my living room, there are two giant windows. One of them faces out towards where these cats regularly are. And my cat is in the windowsill frequently. So they've seen each other. They know each other. But the bedroom where the litter box is and where he poops on the bed is like back here. The cats can't get to it. There's like not a windowsill big enough. So if it had happened in my living room, I would think that. But I honestly think he was just pissed. And he's like, I'll show you. Because he's a diva. Again, hasn't done it since.
Oh, that is great.
Here's a random question. Have you ever had to give your cat probiotics?
No, I have not. Did you have to do that rectally?
No. So, one of the writers for IDP Guys, Aaron, is a vet,
right.
Thankfully. So I messaged him and I was like, Aaron, full disclosure, I was like, why is my cat's poop running? And I was like, he's eating fine. He's acting normally, like all of this.
Yeah.
And he's like, it could just be his gut checks. He's like, give him probiotics and see if that helps. And so they're like individual packets that you get at like PetSmart. It's like $30. And you dump out the package and put it in some wet food. And I gave it to him for like 2 days and he was fine.
Nice.
So I still have a bunch of them, but I was like, interesting. And he was like, it happens with humans. Their gut biome just gets off. And I'm like, well, yeah, but he eats the same food all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But who knows? It could have been a bug that he ate or something that just.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, no, the toughest med I ever had to give her was eye drops. And ask Nate about that sometime. It was a 2-person job. Someone to hold her down while she tried to murder that person, and the other person to put the eye drops in.
The only other thing that we had to give him is when, again, so my parents, there's stairs to go downstairs. There's like a a wall, so you don't fall down them. And he was pacing the top of them and fell. And so we took him to the vet and he was whining. The vet said there wasn't anything broken, there was nothing wrong, but he gave us some pain meds for him. But he was like, he wouldn't eat. So we were like, well, how do we get him? He goes, get some chicken baby food, like actual chicken baby food, mix it with that, and then like see if he'll eat it off a syringe. He wouldn't do it out of the syringe, wanted no part of that. But he would lick it off of a small silver spoon. So that could be part of why this cat is spoiled, because as a small child, he was eating chicken baby food off of a silver spoon in bed.
What a character. I love him already. That is beautiful. All right. I guess back to the football. So how'd you get into fantasy? Was that a natural progression thing, or like when did that start?
So I started playing fantasy football in 2019. I was part of this sports group on Facebook. And they were having a live draft, and I didn't really play fantasy football, and it was $100 buy-in. So I'm like, I'm not going to play because I'm not going to spend. I'm not going to spend $100 on something that I don't know, that I don't have experience in, because that's just a real surefire way for me to lose $100. I don't gamble. Like the most gambling I do is paying league fees every year and not winning any of them.
Right.
Because I'm not going to spend $100 with a small chance of winning more.
I wouldn't either. Especially the way injuries are nowadays. Like, there's no way.
Yeah. So I showed up. I was like, I'm going to show up just because I can, because I'm a social butterfly. And I was the only female in a room of males, which is not unusual in fantasy football.
Right.
And so they were like, oh, I'm glad you're here. Somebody's not coming. Can you draft for him? And I was like, sure. But if I don't hear back from him, I'm drafting how I want to draft.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, he's paying. So I was like, all right. Sounds good. So I ended up sitting next to Josh Hudson, who started clubfantasyffl.com, who is the parent of Women of Fantasy Football. And we got to talking, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so he's like, message me. I'll help you. We'll get this figured out. I was like, okay, cool. So we started talking about that, and then we got on the subject of him writing screenplays and scripts and all that stuff, and me talking about how I like to edit, but I'm not great at the writing, but I love to edit. And so he was like, would you be interested in just occasionally editing some of these articles? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so that's kind of what got me in the door of playing, because I'm like, well, I guess I should play. And so the first year that I played fantasy football, I was in 3 leagues. The second year I played fantasy football, I was in 13.
Yep.
And I was like, just too much. It got very overwhelming.
Oh yeah, it can. Yeah.
I've also discovered that I'm not a big Dynasty fan.
Same.
I
don't like it.
Dynasty people are like, if you don't like Dynasty, then fuck you. And I'm like, I don't understand.
Yeah, to each their own. I don't get it. It's like, and you know what? Dynasty is so goddamn useless these days with the injury rate and the coronavirus and everything. Like, it's useless, right? Like, it redraft's the way to go, because it's all about waiver wire anyway. So, you know.
I also tell people that I don't like Dynasty because I get bored and I just want a new team every year.
Yeah, there's something to be said for that, right? Like, if you discover someone during the year that you're like, oh, I really want that guy next year, you can actually get them. Like, that's pretty sweet.
And it's like, Christian McCaffrey is a perfect example of why I hate Dynasty.
Yeah.
If you drafted Christian McCaffrey when Christian McCaffrey was a thing, you did pretty well. But then Christian McCaffrey got hurt and was out. And then Christian McCaffrey got hurt and was out. And I'm firmly on the never Christian McCaffrey train.
Same.
I'm
done.
I'm over that. Yep. I'm like, I don't trust it. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't. But so many uncertainties. Also, I hate trading with a burning, fiery passion. And part of being in a dynasty league is trading, or you're just a bad teammate. And I'm like, no. So people will send me trades, but I consult at least 6 different people before I make any decision on said trade. And then trading players, one thing. Trading future draft picks. I'm like, I don't know how do you even value those?
Right. And then it gets worse when you add like IDP or Devi or whatever. Yeah. Like, then you're in the hypotheticals. Like, it gets weird quick.
Yeah. I'm like, no, that's not fun to me. If that's fun for you, good for you. Auction leagues, no, not fun. But if it's fun for you, you do you.
Do you like best ball?
Best ball is easy. I've drafted.
It's great.
I'm done.
Yeah,
I love best ball.
Love best ball. Yeah.
I know some people are like, no, I like the interaction every week and I like those. And I'm like, I don't. That's not my favorite thing, especially if I have like several leagues. If I can draft a team and be done with it, and you just tell me at the end of the year what happened, that's my team. I did my first ever underdog best ball last year, and I got second place.
Nice.
I won $9 whole.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? Best ball is great because you can scratch that itch and not be stuck in a league all year.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get the drafting itch and then not have to manage the team.
Yeah, no doubt. I love that. What about beyond fantasy football? What else do you like to do? Hobbies, pastimes, stuff like that.
I like to watch TV. I like to read. I like
Nice.
naps. Naps are severely underrated. I like shopping. I feel like a basic white girl right now.
Yeah, that's all right. Nothing wrong with that.
I make some jewelry every now and again just for fun. I basically go to work and come home, or if I don't go to work, or if I'm not at home or work, I'm usually at my best friend's house. So I live in a suburban type of city, so there's not really anything exciting to do. I don't go clubbing. I don't go to bars, so it's not like I mean, I could go to Topgolf, but who's going to go to Topgolf by themselves? That's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, and it's ridiculously expensive. Yeah, I hear you.
So I'm just like, meh.
Yeah. Hey, I'm
at home, work, or my best friend's house, I'm saving money. So
that's it. I live a nice, boring life too. I could give a shit. Like, there's, it's fine. I'm all about it. Okay, so how about with the IDP stuff? So did you get like shanghaied into that last year? Was that your first year?
No, actually. The year prior, in my let's play fantasy football, let's play 13 leagues, I was invited into an all IDP league. Like, there was no offense at all.
Jesus Christ.
No offense. And I was like, sure, why not? I'm terrified, which is why I should probably do this. Shout out to Chris Robin at Detroit BC for agreeing to manage the team with me, because I was like, I need you because I cannot do this myself. 100% cannot. I don't remember how we finished, but we weren't last. And so I had played IDP, but IDP is not really a strong suit. But I like it more than team defense. It's just more fun.
Right.
So last year, I had done editing for Club Fantasy. I was correcting everybody's tweets. I was correcting people in group chats. And somebody who was co-sponsoring the mag, or however you want to put it, reached out to me. It was like, hey, our lead editor on the project just dropped out. Would you be interested? And I was like, well, it all depends. And so he put me in touch with Nate. And so I started talking to Nate and gave me all the details. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then about a week later, Nate was like, oh, hey, by the way, the lead editor for the mag was also lead editor for the site. Would you be interested in that? And I was like, sure. Because sometimes I'm not smart enough to stop and think about things before I agree to them. And sometimes it gets me in trouble. Sometimes it's my second draft magazine and I'm over a year in. So I've played in. So our good friends at Fantasy and Frames do the 4A Championship every year, which includes IDP. Mm-hmm. I'm in a home league with you and Nate and Joey the Tooth and a bunch of people from Connecticut that has IDP.
You did really good in that Fantrax league last year too, and that was not that was not your basic IDP.
Fantrax is awful.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it was bonkers complicated, and you were in first, second, or third for the majority of that season, I believe.
Yeah, who was in first place for the entirety of that season though?
That was me.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Literally, I log in every week and I was like, "Oh look, Johnny's still undefeated." Shocker. And then there's the IDP guys Autism Awareness Invitational every year.
Yeah,
that has IDP, which mirrors Scott Fishbowl. Which, if you are not in, you should go register for
right now. Yeah,
right now. I keep bugging Nate about what the themes are going to be, and he hasn't told me yet. Last year it was dinosaurs. The year prior it was colors, I think. And I'm like, we need something fun.
Yeah,
maybe I'll try to see if we can convince him to like space.
Yeah, space
or something. Because I know Nate's because I had this conversation with him once about why, and he said I think the first year it was cartoons, one year it's been colors, last year it was dinosaurs, and it was just things that people, children, adults with autism enjoy.
Right.
And I'm like, everybody enjoys dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Full fact.
Right. We should do different memed cats, like Grumpy Cat.
Speaking of cats. Speaking of cats. I don't know whose dumb idea this was. But we are we're doing a cat themed league this year.
That's right. We are. You are. I've said that on here, and I've said my reasoning, which is I've lost my goddamn mind, and I don't care. I don't care anymore. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna write whatever I want. I'm gonna do whatever I want, and that includes a cat league with attached articles.
My favorite part is that we're doing this league on MFL. So Nate Cheatham, who is the graphic design artist extraordinaire, is going full cat dad with this.
Right.
And we are just going to be those people. We have an entire, for those of you who aren't in this group chat, we have a group chat. It's called Felines in Fantasy Football.
Yep. Yeah.
Because we are those people. And I am the only female for what it's worth. So cat dads are a thing. They're awesome.
Yeah. It's a lively chat too. There's a lot of.
It really is.
It is lively. There's a lot of cat stuff going on in there all the time.
There's a lot of cat stuff. Speaking of Nate, he shared his new kitten that he'll be getting soon, and oh my god, I want him. I may fly to Connecticut just to steal his kitten. Luna'd probably be happy. His other cat.
Oh yeah, it's such a cute cat. It really is.
He's little like long stragglies that stick out from the rest of his hair. He's like, what? He looks like he just woke up from a nap and is like, where am I?
Yeah. He has no idea what's going on, but I think he'll be happy once he figures it out.
Oh, for sure. Unless Luna's a bitch, which she probably will be.
Oh, no doubt. So while I got you here, let's shout out the women of fantasy football stuff too. So what is that? So talk me through that. Is that a podcast? I know there's a website. Is that a podcast too?
So in 2020, Josh Hudson came to me and was like, there's not much going on in August. Like throughout the summer, they do the Look Inside series that breaks down each team. And then, but like right before season starts, there's not much going on. So he came to me with this idea of doing Women of Fantasy Football. It was right around the time when he came to me, the whole Bobby Sylvester thing. Yeah. So if you don't know, it was just some disgusting male behavior directed towards a woman in not necessarily sports, but like who played sports. And it was just abhorrent behavior. And so Josh wanted to bring awareness to women in the space because women not only know sports, they know what they're doing. They talk sports. They know fantasy football. They have every right. We have just as much of a right as a man to be in the space and to talk and play and all that stuff. So that was the heart behind it. And so the first year we got a late start because it was just a thing, but we still got some amazing women, a lot of names that the space knows. We got Kate and Michelle Majuk, we got Lindellians, we had Casey Kasem, we had my co-host was stepmom Lauren Carpenter.
Yeah.
We had Sam Holt. We had all kinds of amazing women. And our goal was to kind of talk a little bit of football, but also to get to know them as women, to introduce them to the world as women in who they are, not just what they do, because they have the knowledge, but they're also people. People with real lives, people with lives outside of this space, people with children, people with families. And so we wanted to make sure that the world got to see them for who they are, not just what they do.
Yeah.
And so we started with the idea of buying autographed memorabilia to raffle off. In the first 2 years, we did that, and we gave the proceeds to the Women's Sports Foundation. And then last year, one of our guests was Laura Oakman, who is a sideline reporter for the NFL and Fox, the longest tenured sideline reporter, who has an organization called Galvanize, that the premise is to help women reach their dreams in sports media. So Galvanize puts on boot camps every year for several different NFL teams and occasionally NHL teams. It's a 2-day event. Women on the first day, they get to meet each other and learn. They get vulnerable with each other. They get to talk about things. They just become family. They become sisters. And then the next day, they get paired with a rookie from each team. They get to interview the rookie. They get to make connections. They're in the clubhouse. They're in all of that. So they get that experience of what it feels like to be on camera and to do all of that. And it's not only amazing for the women, but it's amazing for the rookies to get to see that this sisterhood, this bond that's happening, and to just feel that experience. And so I went to Josh last year and I said, what do you think about switching from Women's Sports Foundation, which is still a great organization, but just some things had changed with how we were being handled, and it just wasn't personable anymore. We felt more like just another cog in the wheel, and we didn't like that. So I said, what do you think if we approached Laura and said, we would like to continue doing the raffles and all of this stuff, but instead of donating it to the Women's Sports Foundation, we partner with Galvanize and send it to you. And she said, that's a fantastic idea. So as of this year, Women of Fantasy Football is officially partnering with Laura Oakman and Galvanize, so that moving forward, not only will we be working together on things, but our annual shows, our annual Women of Fantasy Football shows that happen every August, all of the proceeds from all of the raffles that happen will be sent to Galvanize, and it's actually going to create an what's the word I'm looking for? A scholarship.
Ooh.
Yeah. So for at least one woman to be able to attend a boot camp and not have to worry about price. And it'll include travel. It'll include the price of the boot camp. And one of my favorite things about Galvanize is that it's women of all ages, all races, all backgrounds. Laura's got 20-year-olds from college. She's got 40-year-old moms of 3 who put their dreams on the back burner to raise a family, and now they're finally chasing those dreams. So it's anybody and everybody. And I know at least one women of fantasy football who's headed to the Cowboys boot camp. Coming up soon, and she's thrilled, and I am thrilled for her. I will likely be going to one next year. So yeah, I'm excited.
How do we? Okay, so how does someone donate to that or get a raffle ticket or point them in the right direction?
So starting likely the week before our first Women of Fantasy Football show, which is, as I can tell my calendar, August 10th. So likely starting August 3rd, you'll see Club Fantasy, which is at Club Fantasy FFL on Twitter. And then, of course, the Women of Fantasy Football, which is at women of _FF. We'll start sharing links to what's being raffled off and how to donate and all of that fun stuff. So be on the lookout for that. I know I have seen some of the things that Josh has gathered already, and I know what he's going to gather, and there are things that you don't want to miss because it's sure you could go out and buy it for yourself, but the fact that most of the men that I've met on fantasy Twitter and in this space are incredible and supportive of women, and the handful who aren't are just terrible human beings in general. So it's going to a great cause. Plus, you could possibly win a super awesome item.
Yeah, that's that. I count me in. I'm in. That sounds great. That's such a great thing you guys are doing. That's really good stuff. And there is a topic here on fantasy Twitter, so we'll get more into that here shortly. I'm sure you're gonna love it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, let me. I have a whole hot water segment. It's gonna be great. Yeah. But before we get there, let me get you on record as to who you think massively, stupidly early is going to be in the Super Bowl this year and who wins it.
Massively, stupidly early. Fuck it. The New England Patriots.
Ah, okay. Who they playing?
The Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, come on. Come on, give me a real NFC team. Come on.
A real NFC team.
Yeah, the Patriots could theoretically make it. The goddamn Seahawks are.
But it's funny.
Yeah.
It was the first one I thought of, full disclosure. And now the only other NFC teams that I can think of are the Falcons and the Saints.
That's all right. So how about the Bucks, right? Like Brady's last go around? Maybe? No?
No.
No?
Logically, yes. My brain says yes, but my heart says no. Fuck him.
Oh, wow. Okay. Jeez, got strong feelings here. All right. That's fine. I know you don't
blame it on the avocado tequila.
No worries. I know you don't do predictions. That's okay. Let's shift gears and get into some of your favorite movies and TV shows.
I have so many. My tastes are eclectic.
It's okay. Just give me a smattering.
Okay. So movies are anywhere from the Disney classics, Alice in Wonderland and Beauty and the Beast, to Harry Potter, all of them, to Murder by Numbers, Hitchcock's The Birds, one of my favorites, Twister.
Oh, yes.
Twister is one of those movies that if you ever pass it,
you're going to stop and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
My parents and I, it's our thing. We can quote the movie. Almost word for word.
It's a classic. It is.
It's one of those it's one of those movies where at times you're watching it going, that would never happen. Like there's a scene towards the beginning of the movie where there's a tornado and they're hiding under this like bridge, holding on to these like wooden pilings, and her eyes are open and she's watching it. And I'm like, there's dirt flying around. There's no way her eyes are open. Like, no, that's not real.
Yeah, there's the cow flying. I mean, I guess that could happen, but there's, they tie a belt to a freaking pipe. And
30 feet down.
Sure, that would do it. Yeah, you'd be fine. Yeah,
totally okay. Totally fine. I'm staring at a cabinet full of movies, but it's closed, and so it's always when somebody asks you this question that you can never think of them.
That's all right. What about you? Like Star Wars, Marvel movies, any of that stuff?
Yeah, like I didn't think of any of those. I love the Star Wars movies. I love Marvel movies. I'm watching the entirety of the Twilight series today because hate me if you want to. I like them.
I got no beef with that. Yeah.
I watched a stupid Disney Channel movie called Sneakerella last night. It was cute, but it was dumb. It was like a gender reversed Cinderella. With sneakers. Just
Interesting. Well, you've got a fine taste there. What about TV? What are you watching currently, and what are some of your all-time favorites?
Some of my all-time favorites are the classics like Law and Order, SVU.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like SVU, then there's something wrong with you. I like your medical dramas, your Grey's Anatomy, your Chicago series, Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, all of those dumb shows. I like I don't really watch much reality TV. I used to be big into The Bachelor, Bachelorette, and I just was like, nah, no.
Yeah. I watched it when FanDuel had a DFS game for The Bachelorette. I'm not kidding. They did.
That's
and it's like,
funny.
And you chose like 4 different dudes, and they would get points depending on things like if they kissed the Bachelorette, if they got naked on TV. Like you'd get a point for each drink they had or high fives and stuff. So I would just pick the most ridiculous people each week and hope it worked out.
That's funny.
Yeah, they should bring that back.
Wow. I love Schitt's Creek. I love Ozark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, The Mandalorian, the Marvel shows on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
The Star Wars shows on Disney Plus.
Yeah, you watching Obi-Wan? You caught up?
I'm caught up on Obi-Wan.
What?
Non-spoiler, but young Leia is my spirit animal.
Yeah, they did a good job casting her because it's believable that she would be exactly like that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yep.
The whole interaction with her and the kid where he's like, you don't need to have manners with lower life forms. And she's like, well, good. Then I don't need to have manners with you. And I was like, yes. Yes, that's my girl.
Yeah.
But I also watch dumb TV like Guys Grocery Games.
What is that?
So it's a competition show with Guy Fieri.
Okay.
And it's set in like a grocery store where these people have to cook these dishes, but then they have to go shopping for ingredients, and then they have to cook dishes, and then they get like stupid challenges in the middle. And so I guess that's reality cooking, but TV. But I only ever watch it at my parents' house. So, but then I watch your dumb Netflix shows like Sweet Magnolias and I don't even know. Oh, Outlander. I watch. That's a good show.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
That's
that's a good cross section right there.
Mm-hmm.
Variety is the spice of life, right?
It is.
Yeah. Okay, hypotheticals time. If you won the lotto tomorrow, what would you do?
I would buy a new car and I would travel.
Where to?
First stop on my bucket list is Ireland, England, and Scotland.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. I've never seen any of the ANDs, Ireland, Scotland, England. I'd love to.
Like, what?
Yeah, I'd love
Very
to, right?
Nice.
Yeah. It'd be great.
I mean, Paris was always on my bucket list, but I've been there twice. I mean, I'd love to go back, but I'm also would love to see something I've never seen before.
Yeah. Yeah. No, those are nice countries to visit. Yeah.
And I randomly on a whim once planned out like thinking like a 2-week vacation in the Andes, and I made a Google map for it. So like I have pit stops. It's like a driving vacation.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, right? Like take your time, see the country. Yeah.
Well, and especially since it's such a small, relatively speaking, it's a small area of land. So why not?
Yeah. No, I like that. Would you keep working or would you retire?
I'd probably keep working because I enjoy my job. I have really good benefits with my job. And it's not like it's a terrible job. So I guess it all depends on where I'm at in life when I win the lottery. But if it were right now, I'd still work.
Yeah, there you go. And I've gotten split answers on that. Some people are like, "I'm out of here," and a lot of people would keep working. So
I find that a lot of people who quit their job, if they win the lottery, it's because they don't like their job.
yeah, right. If you like your job, it's not work.
Yeah.
It's yeah. Okay, if you could time travel to see anything in history, what would it be and why?
If I could wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Gotten some wacky answers on this one.
If I could time travel to see anything in history, I think I would like to have been side by side with Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton in August of 2020. Nope, 1920, when the 19th Amendment was ratified.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So the 19th Amendment is what gave women the right to vote, for those of you watching or listening who don't know what that is.
Right. That's awesome. That's a great answer. I like that.
And the cool part about it was in 2020, our Florida's presidential, or our primary election, was on the same day, literally the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment.
Wow. What are the odds? That's crazy.
It was super awesome.
That's awesome. That's a good answer.
Thank you.
Are you hey, no worries. Are you a there's aliens person or a there's no aliens person?
No. There's no aliens.
If there were, would you meet them?
No.
Negative. Gonna pass?
Negative. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Negative, Ghost Rider.
Pattern is full. Okay. You got to see Top Gun 2, by the way. It was really good.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
I only saw Top Gun 1 for the first time like 3 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you got to see 2. It was very good. Tom Cruise doesn't age. It's very weird.
It's the Scientology.
yeah. Jennifer Connelly, too. She looks great, and she's pushing 50-something, I think.
I also love Miles Teller.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, he's a Footloose. He was excellent in how he looked. So most people don't look good with just a mustache, but yet he could pull it off. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'll probably see it. I don't know if I'll see it in theaters, but I'm sure I'll watch it at some point.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, how about favorite football memory?
So my favorite football memory is probably my birthday. My 34th birthday. I don't know. It was a couple years ago. As I said earlier, I always spend Thanksgiving with my parents, and my birthday is November 24th. So it's always that week. This year it's on Thanksgiving. But that year it was on a Saturday. And my dad and I went to the Georgia Tech game in Athens. Yeah. And if you've never been to a football game, like an NFL game, you don't really know what they're like. If you've been to an NFL game, you know what they're like. If you've never been to a college football game, college football and the NFL are very different things, especially in the SEC. Yeah, because the SEC, they take college football seriously.
Oh, yeah.
And if you ever watch a game on television, you don't understand all of the little nuanced things that happen during commercial breaks, that happen right before kickoff. There's so many actions and shout outs and movements and yelling. Like, it's insanity, but it is so much fun to be a fan of the home team because the energy is palpable. It's something else. And of course we won because Georgia Tech sucks, which always adds to the excitement. But that's probably one of my favorite football memories, is just being able to go to a game in person and being there with my dad.
Yeah. I'm jealous. We've got nothing like that. UConn is dog shit for football. That's for sure. And it's like, it's like a 20,000 person stadium. They get like 5,000 people and we get the shit kicked out of us.
Oh yeah, because UConn is a basketball school,
Right.
especially if you're a female.
So yeah, they're the basketball school, especially for women's basketball. But it's like our football team blows.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
jealous.
Well, that's honestly a lot of New England schools, because you guys during football season, for the most part, you get crap weather.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
a lot of New England is basketball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And SEC football is just heads,
Yep.
way better than Big Ten tries, but
Yeah.
no.
There's a reason Saturdays in the South are just something else. SEC football is unmatched.
I'm with you. How about favorite non-football memory?
Favorite non-football memory? I mean, probably a couple years ago, I've spent several weekends and weeks in New York City visiting family, because my aunt and uncle live there, and I love this city. It's just, I'm a city person. My mother's not. But in 2017, I finally got to see New York City at Christmas with my mom.
Yeah.
We did the Radio City Christmas Spectacular featuring the Rockettes. We saw the tree at Times Square. We did, or Rockefeller Center, sorry. We saw all the window displays, the Saks Fifth Avenue. New York City's magical, but New York City at Christmas is just one of those bucket list items that I finally got to do. Also, seeing Aladdin on Broadway in New York.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, that is beautiful. What's something hard you've overcome, and what did you learn from it?
Something hard I've overcome. So when I was born and raised in Florida, and about 12 years ago, my parents decided that they were going to move to Georgia. And I was like, they gave me the option to either stay or go. I had a great job. All my friends were here, so I stayed. Well, before they actually left, I moved out because I was going to need to find a place to live anyway. So I moved out, and I was 19. I was like, I had a credit card. I was like, ooh, credit cards are on. Like, I could buy things and then not have to pay for it. And then I got more credit cards, and all. And before I knew it, I was $26,000 in credit card debt. Yep. That didn't include my car payment. And the whole reason I didn't go to college was because I had no desire to. And I was like, there's no point in me racking up all this debt for something I don't want to do. Credit cards are sneaky. And credit cards, they're like, yeah, it's okay. So again, before I knew it, I was $26,000 in debt. I had a great job. I was making great money. My rent wasn't that much. So it should have been okay. But for a long while, I was of the, if you've ever seen the movie Confessions of a Shopaholic, it was of the, if I don't answer it, if I ignore the call, if I ignore the piece of mail, then it'll just go away, which it doesn't.
Right. Right.
They'll keep finding you.
Yeah, and eventually they'll just stack your pay. Like it gets to that point. It's crazy.
Well, I had a Dillard's credit card, and my parents had moved at this point. By the time things got really bad, they were already gone. They called my parents' house in Georgia. I had never listed that number. I had never done anything. So my mom calls me one day and was like, what is this? And so it was only one credit card that she knew about that had like $3,000 on it. So she's like, is this the only one? And I'm like, feeling like crap. So I can't lie to her and be like, yeah. So like I come clean, and it was awful. There were days that I took a nap for lunch and didn't actually eat because it was either lunch or dinner. Jesus. Yeah. Oh yeah. My mom and my parents, they love me. My mom said, I'm not going to help you because you need to do this. She goes, but I'm not going to let you starve. So she would send me $50 a month for food. But she's like, we're not giving you this money. We're not bailing you out. And I joined this Christian debt consolidation company, which worked to get all of my interest rates down. I just made one payment to them. I lived boring lives. I didn't do much because one of my credit cards was through my bank. And I discovered that if I had my paychecks were always direct deposited, and if I had it direct deposited into my savings account, I had a full 24 hours before they moved it and applied it to credit cards or my negative checking account balance at the time. So, yeah. So I would always pull my money out and I'm like, all right, I got $300. Let's go. And just neglecting my negative checking account, neglecting my credit cards. I was like, I remember one weekend I took it because I was doing a 5K at Disney. And so I took it, went to Disney because I was young and stupid and really naive and bad with money. So I paid it all off. And then about 5 years later, found myself in credit card debt again.
Jesus.
This time it was only like $13,000. My dad was pissed. They were so mad because I grew up in the church. I grew up in a Christian household, and my parents are very much of the, if you don't have money for it, you don't buy it. They use credit cards, but only because they have the money to pay it off. My mom is very strategic. She uses it for the points and all of this stuff. So they were very not happy. And again, I paid it off. And I worked hard to do it. And I will never go back there. I'm terrified. I have credit cards. I use them. I have a small balance, but like I'm terrified of like really using them because if you've never been in that position, you don't know how terrible it feels. And I never want to be there again. So I signed up for a credit card. I went to Chicago with my best friend and my niece in November. I got a credit card simply because they were going to give me a $250 instant gift card. It was a Marriott Bonvoy card. Yeah. So our hotel room in Chicago, right on the Chicago River for 3 days, was $200 total.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I got it. I signed up for an Amazon credit card because they were going to give me $50 free. And so I got my free stuff and then I canceled it.
Yeah, eat shit, Amazon.
Jeff Bezos doesn't need any more money.
No, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. So I mean, credit cards are not your friend.
No, they're not.
They're little lying, deceitful little shits that, sure, you can do this, but you're also going to tack on 30% interest.
Right. And you're going to be paying it off forever. It's such a trap.
I bought a mattress last year. And I opened a credit card only because if you financed it, it was 0% cash for however long, for at least 2 years. I'm like, I'm going to have this paid off beforehand. Why? It's a no-brainer. Why bust my butt to like save and pay for it if I could just do it this way? Don't hear what I'm not saying. Saving and paying for things is fantastic. But if they're giving you the option of paying 2 years just like you're giving them cash, take it. Because then you're not having to like bust your butt to hoard things or to miss out on things, whatever. So I got my first bill and my minimum payment was $19, I think. And it was a $2,500 total purchase. I think it was $2,700. It's a really nice mattress. And so when I did the financing, he's like, you only get 2 years. And I was like, I don't need 2 years. That's more than enough time. Yeah. So if you paid it off within 2 years, you don't pay interest. But the fine print is if it takes you longer than that 2 years, you don't just start accruing interest on month 25. You get interest in month 25 from the last 24 months.
Oh my God.
That's how most promotional credit card periods are. So like if you're buying something and it's like 15 months, same as cash, as soon as month 16 rolls around, if you still have a balance, you're racking up those 16 months of interest.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sneaky. So
Mm.
I get my first bill. My minimum payment's $19. It says if you pay only the minimum payment, it will take you 10 years and you'll end up spending like $15,000, I think it was. But if you paid $32 a month, it would take you 3 years and you'd only end up spending $4,000. Think about that. It was like $10 more a month, and it would take you legitimately half the time and half the amount.
Wow.
But people see that minimum payment and it's like, oh, it's only $20. I can just pay $20 forever. You
Right.
would literally be paying $20 forever.
It's so wild. I know exactly what you're talking about. I got into the same exact problem due to a different problem when I was strung out on drugs, because it's like that's part of it. Like, I was like, where am I going to get money for this? Oh, well, they're giving me credit cards, may as well. And it's such a pain in the ass to crawl out from under. It really is.
Well, you tried to crawl out from under credit card debt and drug addiction, so I feel like that's twice as hard.
but still, I know exactly what you're talking about. They don't leave you alone.
Nope.
Like it's they call all the time. They're sending letters. Yeah, like they're calling people that you didn't even give them the number. Like, they're creepy with that shit.
Yeah,
it's wild. Well, I'm glad you got out from it. So that's good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. This leads us to our hot water segment. So we'll start with everyone's favorite argument. What is your favorite fantasy platform and why?
As much as it's got some flaws that I'm not a big fan of, it's Sleeper. It's just simpler. Like, I get MFL, like you can customize it and all this stuff, but it's confusing to use sometimes. And I hate there's not like an actual draft grid board. There's a list, but I really like the board layout and being able to see it all laid out like that. I'm not a big fan of Yahoo because I don't really know it. I don't really use it. I'm not a big fan of ESPN. And then Fantrax is just total shit.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I wanted for them to be good so very badly. And it wasn't.
Yeah. No. They were so very not. They were very, very much the opposite of good. Our IDP Invitational last year, and it's 20 minutes. It's an hour before game time on Sunday mornings, and people, you're still getting notifications of players aren't starting and this, that, and the other. And so you go in to adjust your lineups and they're locked.
Yep.
And if you have a position, like let's say you left your ILB spot, your linebacker spot empty because you're waiting on word. Well, now like you can't even go put a player in. You're screwed.
Yeah.
Yep. And then they would glitch out 20 minutes before that lockout, that hour. So now you were thinking you got 20 minutes to set your lineup, and it won't let you in.
Yep.
I finally just gave up. I was like, whatever, screw it.
I hear you. I had to make so many adjustments with that freaking site just to stay competitive because it's the same shit you're talking about. Like just all week making constant adjustments because I knew the odds were not great that I'd be able to do it in time unless I was out in front of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then something happens Saturday night or Sunday morning, and then you're like scrambling, worried about if you have enough time to change your lineup or not. It was not fun.
No, it was definitely not. And I get it. A lot of people like Sleeper. I it's good. It's fine. I hope you enjoy Yahoo more as you get used to it because for redraft, it's so good. And they added a video chat to the draft room last year. So
God.
Oh, it's so
that's where our league is, isn't it? Is Yahoo?
Yeah. The Nate's Home League. Yeah, it's nice. So it's just like this. It's just all us floating heads while we're doing the draft. So it's fun.
Okay, so the editor in me is just noticing that your display name in your screen is JOHNY, but the name up at the top is JONNY. And I know that I went back and forth with Nate with this for featured images last year. For cornerback corner and for the monster. And I'm like, what is it? He goes, I don't know. It's whatever he feels like. I was like, That doesn't help me. I am an editor. I need things to be consistent.
I always go HNY. I think, is that two N's up there? It is two N's up there. Yeah. That's fine. Whatever. Not a huge deal.
So why only one N instead of two?
Oh, I don't know. Because
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just
I was
going
just curious.
JOHN, and then I just added the Y instead of getting crazy with it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so thoughts on fantasy Twitter? You've been around fantasy Twitter for a minute now, and you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. So what's your takeaway overall?
Fantasy Twitter overall is a great place. It's overall it's supportive, it's uplifting, it's friendly. You have a handful of people who come into fantasy Twitter and act like they are gods, act like they're hot shit, act like they are untouchable. Sure, they know things and they're smart, but they're just not who they think they are. Then you have people who come into fantasy Twitter and don't know things, but are hot and act like they know things, so they get all kinds of attention, even when they don't know shit. You have people who come into fantasy Twitter who don't have an individual thought in their head and yet publish content that they so lovingly cultivated from multiple different sites to create their own content that they came up with and put their name on it. And a lot of times those same people, when they get called out on their behavior, are the first ones to block, because 99% of the time nobody likes getting called out on their shit. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
And so I recently discovered the other day that I was blocked by somebody like that, and I laughed because I was like, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Nor is everybody mine. The expo last year was interesting. It's an interesting dynamic. It will be again this year because the good people are there. The FF Twitter villains are there, but they still have their own little like posse and cronies, and it's just
more power to you for going to that. Nate's trying to get me to go, and
you should come.
No goddamn way. No.
Why?
Because of all that, I'm just not fucking interested.
That's why you just find a corner and just people watch.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe one of these years, but not this one. You're right.
I'll just tell Nate to pick you up.
Yeah.
Hey, he's having an IDP panel. Like, who better to be in that than you?
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. One of these years, I will go for sure. But I think you made a good point there. Like, there is a lot of good. It's just finding it, and you know, this is like not a new trend, but a trend that's been gaining traction. I've noticed is like cultivating your own Twitter. Like, really work that mute button, work that block button. Who gives a shit? Like the people that are like, oh, it shows weakness if you block someone. Like do not care. Dude, don't care.
No.
Like, it's there for a reason.
Scott Fish, God love him. I remember he tweeted not that long ago about clearing out his blocked section and giving people a second chance. And I'm like, this is why Scott Fish is the amazing person that Scott Fish is. It's what makes Scott Fish Bowl so amazing every year is Scott Fish. But Scott Fish is like a freaking angel.
Yeah, I couldn't
know. Yep. If I blocked you, it was for a reason.
Yep.
And I'm not unblocking you.
Right.
I don't care. I don't care if you had me blocked. Somebody I know blocked me. And then you can, fun fact, you can block people who have you blocked. As long as you go, like, if you know their handle, you can go to their page and still block them. So if they ever unblock you, they're still blocked. So a well-known person blocked me, and I was like, I literally don't care. I blocked back. I saw this person at the expo last year, and it's always awkward knowing full well that people have you blocked, and yet they try to act like the nicest person
Oh,
to like,
yes.
because so like I walk by and they're like, hey, and I'm like, hi. And I proceeded to tweet about it, and I was like, this person still had me blocked, and I was like, if you have a person blocked, would you acknowledge their existence? Because for me, I wouldn't. If I blocked
No.
you on Twitter, there's a reason. I'm sure not going to talk to you in real life. So this
Right.
person who has me blocked quote tweeted it and was like, yeah, as a power move. And I was like,
What?
what an asshole. Like,
Wow. Wow. And it's all so fucking dumb. It's so high schoolish.
it's so childish.
And
It
here's the thing,
really
you know this because you're on the editor side of things, you're on the site management side of things. How much of our hits comes from goddamn Twitter?
Mm-hmm.
What, 2%, 5% on a good day? It's
And a
Google.
lot of things that people don't realize is fantasy football Twitter is fantasy football analysts and writers and rankers and all of that stuff. It's not the everyday Joe Schmoes who are reading it.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, sure, you can get tips and tricks and whatever, but they're not your audience.
Yep.
Because they're probably writing their own article about the same thing.
Yeah, it means nothing, and it's like people bend over backwards for all of it, and it's like it means literally nothing. Like he or she who controls the Google controls the universe. It's that simple.
And you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna do it. Follow trains on Twitter.
Oh yeah, fire away. This is the spot. If you're gonna, let them have it.
They're so fucking stupid. Like, people who take, I mean, we've all been there. We enjoy seeing our follower numbers increase. We enjoy seeing that. Like, it means people value what we have to say, people, whatever.
Yeah.
Everybody likes validation, regardless of what it is. But people who follow people or throw their name in a follow train, follow this person because of XYZ. Sure, that's nice. That's awesome. I'm not going to repost it. I'm not adding my own 2 cents. If you find something valuable in somebody's work, follow them. Don't just follow them blindly. I think it should be a, hey, check this person out. If you like them, then follow. Bring attention to people, but not a follow train. Also, if you are one of those people who follows somebody and then waits for them to follow back and then unfollows them,
oh yeah,
burn in hell.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
Sorry, don't burn in hell because that's just mean. But
I hear you though. Yeah.
Why? Don't be a dick.
It's ridiculous. I got a piece of
childish.
It is, and I got a piece of off-brand software so that every couple weeks I can check and find those people and blow them out the airlock where they belong. Because I'm not going to be the victim of that. You want to play that game? That's fine. I will find out you did that and then go back and unfollow you. I am that spiteful. I don't give a shit.
There's a thing. I don't know if it's like I don't know if it's an app or an account that people follow where occasionally you'll see people tweet that I was followed by 6 people and unfollowed by 4 people. I'm like, I don't care enough. If you unfollowed me, whatever, I will eventually figure out that you're not following me. And if I don't know who you are, don't care about you, I will unfollow you. But I feel like that update is more stressful and more detrimental to people's mental stability to know, because then people are going to spiral. Well, why did they unfollow me? Is it something I did? Is it something I said? Is my work not good enough? Am I not good enough? And so I just, it's going to sound weird, but it hurts me sometimes for those people. It's like, because I've gotten to a point, sticks and stones break bones. Words hurt sometimes, but in the long run, like, somebody's words on the internet have no bearing on my everyday life.
Right.
I always say that I'm sorry that your life is so boring that you have to talk about mine.
Yeah. Right. Right. Like, how unhappy are these people that are always throwing these tantrums out here? You know what I mean? Like, just really, really unhappy lives they must lead.
Yep.
Yeah. I knew you'd be a good one for that topic.
Nate's gonna listen to this and laugh.
Well, pretty much everyone said the same thing that I've asked. I asked everyone this question, and it's all been the same. Like it's a dumpster fire, but if you follow the right people and
Mhm.
get rid of the rest, it's a fine place.
Yep. Find your crew.
Yeah,
Find your people. Find people who think like you, but also think differently, so that they will challenge you in how you think, but also when certain things happen, they align with you and you can sympathize. Find people who will be there for you no matter what. Who will support you. Find people who you can vent to. Find your people. Find your crew on fantasy Twitter, and whatever else happens won't affect you.
That's wisdom right there. Love that. Alrighty. So last couple, and we'll wrap up here. What are you working on this year? So I assume a bunch of editing. Anything else you got on the back burner for the upcoming season?
So the upcoming season will be mixed with Women of Fantasy Football, plus 2 statewide elections, plus editing in season, plus trying to figure out your 4 million words every week.
Sorry in advance.
Oh, that's okay. We're gonna work on a format and figure this out. Hey, it happened mid-season last year and it worked well.
Yeah, we came to a good understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I know people can get so bent out of shape with that stuff. Like you just got to work with your editor and find a happy middle ground.
My favorite thing about it is like I would talk to Nate and be like, this is a lot. What do you think we did this? And he's like, you can ask him, but he's gonna say no. And I would come to you and I was like, here's my idea. And you're like, yeah, that's great. And Nate's like, how is it that every time you ask him, he's like, yeah, sure. But when I bring it to him, he's like, no, fuck you. I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'm nicer. I don't know.
Yeah, well, your ideas made sense.
He's like, you ask him because he'll tell me no. I was like, okay.
No, you had it was all good stuff. It was it was well done.
Thank you. So yeah, just editing, trying not to lose my mind between editing and elections, and yelling at Nate for random things because I can.
That sounds good. Okay. Anything you want to announce, discuss, talk about? The floor is yours.
I think we've covered everything that I'm involved with.
Nice. Well, I mean, that was the idea, but
well, yeah. Follow Women of Fantasy Football on Twitter at women_of_FF. Be on the lookout for raffle announcements, who, what, where. If you haven't subscribed to idpguys.org, you should do so. If you haven't placed an order for the Rookie Mag, you should also do that. You can get the content digitally or in an actual magazine, which again is just really fun to hold and to have. There's something lost in a digital age about an actual book or magazine where you can turn pages and earmark things and bookmark things. I like digital stuff, but there's just give me paper for certain things.
Yep. Yeah, it's really cool. It's a real magazine. It's so cool. Yeah.
And last year was my first year with it, obviously. And for the writers, because a lot of the writers this year for the mag are new as well. Opening it up to like the second page and seeing your picture there.
Yeah.
Is a really cool feeling.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. That's awesome. Okay, and we'll take you out of here on this. Do you think that it is possible that the cause of most road rage is someone having to go to the bathroom? Number 2 in particular.
No.
Well, you're in Florida, so you're an expert on road rage. Tell me why you think most people have road rage.
I have what I call road annoyance. Not road rage. So one of my biggest pet peeves, like if you know you're gonna have to merge, if you see two lanes merging into one, you know it's coming. People who speed up, like to right at the point of merging, instead of getting in like further back where they have a natural opening, but like speeding up and then either forcing their way in or making somebody stop, like that annoys me. People who don't use their turn signal. So my road rage just comes from people being stupid.
I gotcha. I get that. I get that. So there's an ongoing argument within, I guess, the IDP guys community, innermost community, on whether or not most road rage is caused by someone basically about to crap their pants, and that's why. Yeah.
Where is this a discussion?
Oh, me and Kyle and
Okay.
and Nate and Joey sometimes.
Boys. God.
Yeah.
Poop talk. You're so dumb.
All right, I can see that. Road rage annoyance. Awesome. Well, Faith, thank you. This has been great. This really has been great. It's been nice. Yeah, it's been really nice to get to know you because, before you came to the staff, I was like, I saw you around. I was like, wow, she's a wildcat. Like, boy, lot of personality there. I wonder what that would be like to work with her. And it's been awesome. It really has been.
Thank you.
Yeah, so appreciate everything you do for us. Please follow her on Twitter at @FF_LeapofFaith. She is the lead editor for IDP Guys and the magazine, and she's at womenoffantasyfootball.com. Faith, thank you again.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Absolutely. We'll see you all next Monday, 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Have a good week. Take care. Bye-bye.